Being able to deliver daily is something that some of our teams are able to do now. It makes a massive difference to getting feedback and responding to changes. It means that we don't have to have larger backlogs. And I think that's one of the biggest things that really is demotivating for engineering teams and also for kind of operations and infrastructure teams. You know, if you're faced with a really massive backlog, it just looks insurmountable. But if you're able to respond quickly, you can also change your priority, which means that you can be much more adaptive and reactive. We've certainly seen huge benefits for the teams that are able to do that. They're able to spin on a penny and address issues very fast, you know, whether that's a technical debt problem, they can experiment. So experimentation and innovation is probably one of the biggest things. But for us, making sure that we give fans a really great experience and also the kind of clients and venues really good tools so that they can kind of operate their businesses effectively is super important to us. So it helps us with the feedback loop. That's probably really critical. Feedback loop is really important. DevOps for me is really around collaboration. I know, it's quite common for DevOps to be used as a role, and certainly, you see a benefit from people that have got strong automation skills working kind of to promote the use of new tooling and kind of to improve pipelines and things like that. But it's also about bringing what an operations team is going to understand about how an application works and how customers may experience events, and bring that to engineers who sometimes might not have the bandwidth to think about some of the challenges around operating something at scale. I mean, as tooling matures and as products and platforms mature, then it's much easier for us to share some of that and for actually engineering teams to be much more autonomous about what they do. And I think for me, the big change now is not necessarily around DevOps, but about what we're delivering as a platform for people to build their tools on top of and abstracting some of the complexity. The other thing that I think's super important is it's really necessary to bring people with you. I mentioned during my talk that for some infrastructure engineers, if they've never really used any collaborative coding tools, like a Git or something like that, it can be pretty terrifying for them to walk in and suddenly be presented with a bunch of tools and a workflow that is so alien to them. But they're smart people and they can pick that stuff up in the same way that the engineers can understand like operational constraints and the importance of reducing single points of failure and fault tolerance and security challenges and issues. If we get these teams to work together, it's extremely powerful. The challenge is how you get people on the same mission, and it's really around changing the silos, changing the barriers, and really getting people to work together and understand each other's problems. But that takes time, and sometimes you have to spend time listening. Even falling on your sword and saying, okay, we'll go first, let's work together. And that's really important.